They say small towns are the safest, but sometimes evil hides where nobody looks. Ashland, Oregon, a quiet, charming place where dogs greet mailmen with wagging tails, and neighbors leave their doors unlocked. But one December night, a silent hero uncovered something that would shake the whole town. This is the story of Shadow, a dog who didn't just save lives. He exposed a darkness no one was ready to see. Emma Miller wasn't used to silence anymore, not since the accident that took her fiancé. At 33, she lived alone in a small yellow cottage at the edge of Ashland. Her days were filled with second graders' laughter and her nights wrapped in blankets of grief. But she wasn't completely alone. There was Shadow, a retired canine, German shepherd, black fur, noble eyes. Once a hero in search and rescue, now her quiet companion, her last thread to something good in the world. Sometimes, when the grief swallowed her whole, she'd curl up beside Shadow, burying her face in his fur. It was Shadow who pulled her back from the edge. Once, just months after the accident, she'd been ready to give up. Pills in one hand, a note in the other. Shadow nudged the bathroom door open, laid his head in her lap, and refused to leave until the sobs came. He had already saved her life once, and tonight he was about to do it again. It was 12:14 a.m. Emma had just turned off the tree lights, staring at the ornaments that used to mean forever. Shadow growled, low, deep, the kind of growl that didn't come from boredom, but instinct. "What is it, boy?" He stood by the door, ears high, tail stiff. A part of her wanted to ignore it, to pretend the world was safe, but another part, the one that still believed in Shadow, knew better. She slipped on her coat, grabbed her flashlight, and followed him into the cold Oregon night. Shadow walked with purpose, cutting through back roads like a memory guiding him. Past the diner, the hardware store, the tiny Christmas tree lot, toward the old fruit warehouse no one used anymore. Emma's breath caught in clouds. Her hands trembled on the flashlight. Then she heard it. A sound that made her blood freeze. A muffled cry from inside. And suddenly, she was back in that moment 2 years ago. The phone call about her fiancé, the officer's gentle words, the darkness swallowing her whole. But Shadow's steady form reminded her she wasn't helpless now. Shadow rammed the side door open, once, twice, until it gave in with a metallic crack. Inside was darkness, rotting wood, cold concrete, oil-stained floors. The cry came again, young, terrified. Emma stepped cautiously behind him. That's when Shadow found her. A teenage girl, curled in a corner, wrists bound, mouth taped, blood on her shirt. Emma fell to her knees. "Sweetheart, it's okay. We're here now." Shadow stood over them both like a soldier taking post. But the nightmare wasn't over. Footsteps. A metal door slammed, and a man appeared. Not a stranger. Nathan Carter, local businessman, charity donor, PTA regular, a man Emma had once trusted. Her voice cracked. "You?" His eyes were empty. "You were never supposed to see this." Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. "I called the police. They're coming." Carter's lips curled into a sneer. Then let's end this before they get here. He raised a gun, and for a split second, Emma thought of her fiancé, how he used to say, "Some people wear uniforms, some just do what's right." She whispered, "Please, don't." But before she could move, Shadow lunged. A growl ripped through the warehouse like thunder. Shadow's teeth sank into Carter's arm, knocking him off balance. But another man fired a shot. Shadow yelped. Emma screamed, "No!" But Shadow didn't fall. Bleeding, he attacked again, forcing the second man back, knocking the weapon from his hand. Emma crawled forward, shielding the girl. Shadow kept fighting until flashing red and blue lights lit the darkness. Police swarmed in, guns drawn, voices shouting. In minutes, Carter and his men were cuffed. The girl was safe, and Shadow collapsed beside Emma, blood soaking his fur. Emma gathered his massive head in her arms, tears poured down her face. "You're my hero, Shadow. Please stay with me." Shadow's breathing slowed, but his eyes stayed on her, loyal, to the very end. Emergency surgery. Hours of waiting. Emma prayed like she hadn't prayed in years. And then, Shadow opened his eyes. He had made it. Emma was there, holding his paw. "You came back to me." He wagged his tail, weak but alive. The entire town celebrated. The girl they rescued, Mia, visited every week. Shadow always licked her hand as if saying, "I remember you. You're safe now." He became a local legend, not because he wore a badge, but because he didn't need one. The truth about the warehouse stunned Ashland. Carter had been running a trafficking ring, hiding victims in plain sight. Shadow's instincts didn't just save one girl. They exposed a network. News crews, awards, medals. But none of that mattered to Emma, because for her, Shadow wasn't just a hero. He was her reason to keep going. At night, when the lights were off and the world was quiet, she'd rest her hand on Shadow's head. Safe. Alive. Because not all heroes wear capes. Some wear scars and speak through silent howls.